Madam President.
Majority Whip.
Madam President, if you've been involved in Illinois politics or government in the last 40 years, or you've called my office in Springfield anytime in the last 24 years, there's a good chance you know the fellow I'm about to speak about this afternoon. For those who haven't been lucky enough to meet him yet, let me tell you about my friend and one of the best people I've ever known. His name is Bill Houlihan. Bill came to work in my first Senate campaign in 1996. And when we won, I asked him to be my staff director for all of downstate Illinois, 96 counties. He's been with me ever since, and now he is state director, the entire state. Whenever I can't attend an event in Illinois, Bill is the person I turn to. I don't have to write any speech for him, and I don't have to check on what he said. People know Bill speaks for me, and I have complete confidence in his judgment and integrity. Everybody seems to know him. Just try going into a grocery store with Bill Houlihan in Springfield, Illinois. Be prepared for delays, as everyone needs to talk to him or to thank him for something that he might have done. Thanks for helping my mom get her Social Security. Thanks for helping my dad with the Veterans Administration. Thanks for helping to get that passport so my daughter could go away to school. Thanks for helping the local union get the project that creates the jobs here in our community. Over the years, Bill has helped thousands of people find jobs and provide for their families. He knows about the dignity of work. He does whatever he can to help whomever he can, with no expectation of any recognition. Bill started his professional life in 1981, fresh out of Eastern Illinois University. He was a class president. His first job was with the Illinois Education Association. They sent him into a David and Goliath battle scene in Peoria, Illinois, where they were trying to convince the local teachers to sign up with the IEA. They hired Bill 6 weeks before the crucial election and sent him into Peoria, his first campaign for a union. See, Bill had worked on political campaigns for his dad, and I'll talk about those in a minute. But when he got down to Peoria, a place where he had never lived, everybody knew him. And whenever he went up and introduced himself as Bill Houlihan, they'd say, "Well, are you the son of Bill Houlihan?" And he said, "No, I'm the son of John Houlihan." And it puzzled him for a while as to why he kept getting that question. Turns out that he had exactly the same name as Peoria's longtime venerable TV weathercaster, Bill Houlihan. When as a young union organizer, Bill showed up, puzzled teachers always said, "Are you sure you're not related to Bill Houlihan?" Well, our Bill Houlihan was no TV personality, but Peoria teachers quickly learned that he cared about them, and he knew his stuff. Just as important, he understands how to build political organizations and campaigns, and how to use that power to help everyday people. And thank goodness for me, he knows how to win. The IEA won the election in a close upset victory back in the day. It was the first of many election campaign victories for Bill Houlihan. Bill and his wife, Cindy, are the parents of 4 children, but they did it the hard way. 1 set of triplets and a bonus baby born 22 months later. Mariah, John, Grant, Neil are all grown up now. But when they were younger, at the start of every school year, their teachers would often ask them, "Is Bill Houlihan your dad?" That question was followed with the teachers telling stories about Bill and how he'd helped them. This young, unknown organizer had become a legend in his own right. These stories were the only way the Houlihan kids learned about what their dad did for a living. He never bragged on himself. He was too modest. Driving around the state of Illinois for over 20 years with Bill Houlihan, I've heard a lot of stories. But I think the thing that impressed me the most was when he talked about his dad. What a remarkable man, and I was lucky to know him. John Houlihan was born in a section of Chicago which describes where you might find it. It's called back of the yards. That is stockyards. And in that section of the city, immigrant families got their start and worked in some of the hardest jobs in Chicago. John's father was a slaughterhouse worker. John himself grew up on the south side of Chicago, in that area, and his dream came true. As an Irish Catholic kid, he was admitted to Notre Dame University. Can I tell you what a big deal that is? Still today, but for the kids in those parishes to consider going to Notre Dame was nothing short of a miracle. So John Houlihan, Bill's father, who was 6'4", incidentally, was going to try out for the basketball team at Notre Dame University. An absolute dream come true. But there was an intervening event, Madam President, which you will appreciate. It was called Pearl Harbor. John Houlihan, Bill's dad, had to drop out of Notre Dame University to enlist in the United States Marines. He served in many campaigns, and as his 21st birthday approached, his mom and dad sent him a little gift, a belt. It was small enough that it could make it through the mail, and at least they knew they were thinking of him on his birthday. He was embarking on the Battle of Bougainville on his 21st birthday, an island in the South Pacific. A grenade explosion ripped through his left leg in that battle. Lucky for him, he pulled off that belt and applied it as a tourniquet. It saved his life, but it couldn't save his leg. It was amputated at the hip. The Allied forces won that battle. John Houlihan spent a year and a half recovering in veterans' hospitals. He left the Marines with a chest full of medals, including 3 Bronze Stars, a Marine Corps medal, and of course a Purple Heart. Went back to Chicago. One leg, an artificial leg, and a cane or a crutch. He went to a dance in the basement of St. Gabriel's Catholic Church on the Chicago South Side, and he met his future wife, Vernal. They had 8 kids together. Bill was the middle child, the 4th of the 8 kids. Amazingly, his dad, despite that devastating injury, wanted to get involved in politics. He moved to Park Forest, Illinois, just south of Chicago, to raise a family in a larger house, as you can imagine, and decided to run for the Illinois General Assembly in 1964. I've got a picture here I want to show you. That's John Houlihan, Bill's dad, and that's his brother Mike. And Bill's over here at the age of 10. His dad was elected to the General Assembly. He served with some of the giants in Illinois political history, my mentor and friend Paul Simon, Alan Dixon, Adlai Stevenson, Harold Washington. John Houlihan fit right in. As an amputee, in a time before Americans with Disabilities Act, John Houlihan knew that they would applaud you on Memorial Day and on Veterans Day, but it was hard as heck for a disabled vet, really severely disabled like John Houlihan, to get a job. He fought for those disabled vets just like himself. And so much so that when he came to the Illinois General Assembly in Springfield, the Black Caucus invited him to serve as a member. They knew that he appreciated what discrimination was all about. He accepted the invitation as an honor. Years later, when his son, Bill Houlihan, who grew up, was working in that same Illinois State Senate, the Black Caucus asked that he be assigned to them as a staff member because they knew his reputation, Bill Houlihan's reputation, for being willing to fight for the underdog. John Houlihan served in the General Assembly for 8 years before turning his full attention to veterans' rights. He served with the Illinois Department of Veterans Affairs, the Veterans Administration here in Washington, and the Cook County Veterans Assistance Commission. His young son, Bill, was watching him throughout this life experience, and I know he came to appreciate his dad's courage and determination, that he was going to build a family and build a life despite his serious disability. He also knew what it was like for his dad. I remember his dad, World War II vet. We look today to amputees who have the good fortune, thank goodness, of modern prosthetics, even computer-driven devices to help them lead as normal a life as possible. That wasn't the luck of the World War II vets. They were given some crude artificial legs, and they did their best with them. I can still picture Bill's dad, John, one-legged man, lumbering around life with this big wooden leg of his that he would just swing forward as he made it with his cane and made his life out of it, despite that handicap. Now, Bill's mom was a big influence on him as well. She might have been quieter than his dad, but just as strong. Think what kind of a woman it was who would marry John Houlihan, quickly returning from war and trying to make a life. Vernal Houlihan was a kind, generous woman. No matter how tight money was, there was always one more place at the table for a friend. Bill Houlihan is just like his dad and mom. The same courage and determination and the same sense of caring. The heart of every congressional office is something called casework, helping constituents untangle red tape caused by government bureaucracy, or to help solve everyday problems in their lives that mean the world to them. Bill Houlihan may be the only state director in the Senate who still does casework, along with his colleagues, in addition to all his other duties. I can't count the number of people whose burdens have been made lighter by Bill Houlihan. He logs in every call he receives so he doesn't miss a one, and his day doesn't end until he returns the calls. He treats every person with dignity, compassion, and respect, and he always makes time for them. When we would drive around the state, thousands and thousands of miles, and it reached the point where people could call him in his car, the phone never stopped. And many times I said to Bill, why don't you pick up on that when we get back to Springfield tomorrow? No, he said, I knew he was going to call, this buddy of mine. He calls me every day, just wants to chat for just a few minutes. I'll be done, boss, in just a minute. And he'd take the call. Many people called him just to hear his friendly voice. He has fans the likes of which I wish I had some days. A lot of chiefs of staff would think twice about that approach to the job, but not Bill. That's just who he is. Our office in Springfield is located in the same block as Abraham Lincoln's home. That neighborhood is part of the National Park Service. When Bill walks down the block, he greets every park ranger by name, and they know him by name. It's like that wherever we go. Illinois is filled with young leaders all over the state, women and men, black, white, and brown, who didn't know they could be a leader until they met Bill Houlihan. He's one of the best talent scouts and coaches I've ever known. He boosts the confidence of everyone who works for him or with him. He crisscrosses the state of Illinois in his dark blue minivan, they call it the Houlie van, to meet with people face to face. The miles he puts on that van each year would probably take him to China, maybe to the moon. He knows every mile marker and on every highway in our state by heart. He has at last count 47,000 contacts in his Palm Pilot. Yes, he still has a Palm Pilot. I think he knows 20,000 of those telephone numbers by heart. He has an encyclopedic mind for names, numbers, election results, sports, stats, history, everything. And he shares everything he's learned with anyone who might benefit from his knowledge. In between organizing for the IEA and joining my staff, Bill worked as a legislative director for Senator Carol Moseley Braun, the first woman of color to serve in the Senate. One of these pictures here is the early days when he was just getting started as an organizer. hair much darker than it is today. Now let me show you a more recent appearance. This is Bill. He's speaking at the Women's March in Springfield in 2017. Usually he's very soft-spoken until he gets in front of a microphone. And that's when he turns up the volume. Oh, there's one other time he turns up the volume. If he's watching his Fighting Irish play football and they score a touchdown, he screams so loud it could rattle the windows. Always, always, Bill Houlihan is the voice for people whose hopes and needs aren't heard enough within the halls of the Senate or the halls of power. He is a voice of compassion, encouragement, wisdom, and decency. Loretta and I are lucky to call Bill and Cindy some of our best and dearest friends. So it's hard to say, but this is his last week on the job with the United States Senate. It hurts to lose a man who's given me such a big part of his life. It's going to take its toll on my office, my politics, and my life. But I can guarantee you that I'll be calling Bill just as often as I always have. He may not be on the payroll, but I know he'll take my call. Bill and Cindy want to move on to the next chapter in their lives. That's understandable. I'm sure it's going to include some traveling and especially time with their kids and grandkids. And Bill, God bless him, just volunteered again to once again become the chairman of the Sangamon County, Illinois Democratic Party, a post he held years ago. Above all, I know that Bill will continue to help everyone he can in every way he can, because that is who he is and always has been. Bill, I hope you're watching. Cindy, too. Thank you. I couldn't have done it without you. Loretta and I wish you and Cindy and your whole family good health and happiness in all the years to come. I yield the floor.